Yo, what's going on, my fellow YouTube friends? So let's do an updated video on CLVR. I haven't looked at this chart in a little while since the last update, talking about how this was definitely playing out beautifully and what could potentially happen from here on out. And I did see some potential, good bullish things happening. But we're going to have to take a deeper dive into this chart because obviously, as you can see, we're having a very hard time getting above this resistance line here. And I haven't looked at this chart since the last time we made this video, so this is more on the fly than usual, even more. This is my first time looking with you guys. So, obviously, you guys know from previous videos of mine that I went long and I took somewhat of a risky play here because there wasn't much chart data. But all I could see at the time was this here. And I said, you know what, this is a new stock. It can either break down to nothing or it can break out. And I had just heard the CEO talking about how he had deals with CGC, Canopy Growth, and how his company was going to be doing very, very well. And, all these products that they were pushing out, and they've been in business for a long time, and they're just getting this, new stock going as far as their company, right? So this was all they had for data. So that being said, I set up this trend line here because all I saw was this, minus all of this red down days. And I said, well, it can either break out here and I'll go long, or it could come down to, whatever data I saw here. And I just ignored this wick. So I drew this line across and put my buy order right on this fucking trend line right here. Actually, I didn't get it right there. I got it at 863. And I happened to get this bottom, well, pretty close to the bottom because it hit 855. And I literally just put a huge buy order in, made a post on TradingView, and I said, this thing looks like it's geared to break up next week. And I had a targeted move of 1585 or 1588. And the thing ran up, and I just literally just charted it out here. Okay, so if you guys are ready for this content here, don't forget to hit the like button. It'll be greatly appreciated. It helps get these videos out there, and the YouTube algorithm fucking loves it, apparently. And, I won't make this video too long because you can always look back at my videos. But this shit right here was all followed to a goddamn T. So all of these, in my opinion, are 100% exactly... Oh, shit, let me undo it because I don't want to screw up my price target. So I'm doing this on the fly, guys, so you're going to have to bear with me. 1235. So I got to make sure this stays at 1235 as I drag this across, because this here was the exact way that this all was. Actually, I should probably go by, well, real quick, let me just double check that because make sure it didn't move. It kind of did. So actually, this actually would be a little bit lower. I think we'll go off of that wick there, I think. Even though I should probably see 1212. Yeah, okay. Because I want to go exactly about how everything went here. Because when I played this, it ran up. It perfectly caught resistance here. I instantly drew my line in here. And then it fell back down. It came back. I knew it broke out right here. I knew this level was important based off of this wick here. So I drew this wick here, right? So we're going to make sure that this stays the same, and we're going to pull this all the way across on the bottom here because we know that this was the potential support. And we're going to pull that apart because I knew that right here was crucial resistance. So once it came up here and it caught support here, I made a video saying this is crucial right now. We're catching support. We're flipping resistance into new support, which we've never done before. And here we go. We're breaking up. Next level to break, we'd look for 1210. And then, some time in between that. And I'm just doing this whole breakdown, guys. So just bear with me here because it's just fun for me. And, for anyone that hasn't been in this or is just starting to get in this, it's good to know all this information. So if you don't like it, skip ahead. No offense, but just saying. So right here, 1144. Well, it's 1143, or maybe it was 1140. 1140, I grabbed this right here, this bottom support here, because this first initial wick came up to 1140 and caught resistance there. And not only that, but right here was this wick here. So I put this in here as well and said, well, you got to get above this level too. So we did that. So now we have this pulled across here, and then we worked our way up, and then I slowly built my, my remainder of these areas here, which this one is exactly 1366, and the support here, well, we know we have 1211, and we have 1143, roughly 1140. I mean, we could move it down because you can see that this kind of became like new support down here. So let me move that right there. And let me shut this door because my wife just got home and she doesn't want to hear me, I'm sure. So, okay, so now you can see what's going on here. So where are we right now, guys? Well, during this dump, we wicked all the way down here. We caught perfect support on this old support line. We bought right up. That was the only time that we ever touched it so far since back in this history right here. Then we came up, bought back up. We couldn't hold support on this line yet, 1212. We came down, we double bottomed perfectly on this old area that I had back here from this past, which was the 11, well, went to 1135. I had 1140. If I would have put in a buy order at 1140, I would have got filled. So then, now what's going on here? Well, we bought up here, and now we finally caught support right on this 1214. What happened here? We caught support 1214. Of course, we pumped up here, right? And what did we do? We bounced all the way up here. Now, this is moving a lot slower than it did then, but you know why it's doing that? Well, it's easy to say. When there's no history of price action above what's right here, 1393, there was no history prior. So this thing was able to break, and as soon as it broke this level here, which was the only recorded history above that, 1393, which is why sometimes you'll hear me say blue sky breakout. There's no resistance above here until it's created. So now that it's been created, now the stock has a little bit of history. It had some trading in here. You have people that bought up in this area here that got trapped, and this thing fell down. And some people are very confident, and they want to be in this, and they love it. And then other people are like, what did I buy? I bought the top. Let me get out of this stupid fucking thing, right? So then you have all those people. So as this slowly gets up here, there's obviously always people taking profits. And then you have, the longs that are in here and da. But needless to say, there's history here now. So we have to base it off of this history. So, you could look at it in a bearish sense, which I don't really want to do, but we will just for the hell of it. Okay, because, it's hard to say that this is going to be something to look at it like this, because when it was in the COVID crash, every single stock looked like this, and they all are doing just fine. And they all broke out of anything that looked in this scenario. So I'm trying to keep myself away from thinking that I'm trying to keep myself away from going into all of this stuff looking like a bear flag here, because the same thing happened in COVID, and it confused me, and I was like, they all look like bear flags. Are we just trading up in these and then we're gonna fall all the way back down? And guess what happened to every single one of these patterns? They broke out, and look where they are now. Boeing was in that, KOS was in that, Carnival was in that. You know what I mean? So to me, although it should be looked at and kept an eye on at all times, because nothing is certain, that would be the bearish scenario of it all, is that that's a bear flag. But I personally don't think that's what we're doing here. There's another thing you could look at, and some traders might look at it that way. And if it's the case, this is something you have to keep in mind here in this stock, which, even if it did go back down there, I think it would just be the ultimate buying opportunity, in my opinion. But that's not financial advice. But you would want to keep an eye on this level here to be broken, because traders could be looking at this as a potential head and shoulders pattern here. Maybe, right? But it'd have to break this trend line. I've had this same setup in KLDO. I was playing it as a head and shoulders, and guess what it did? It broke right the fuck up and headed right on up. And I actually took profits at this neckline here with the uncertainty of this being a head and shoulders. And guess what it did? It broke right through. It ran up. Then it came back tested it, and then I re-entered. But needless to say, it's still something to keep in mind when you're looking at this thing, is the potential of this being looked at as a potential head and shoulders, which, depending on how the market goes when it gets here, if the market decides to start rolling over, which as of right now, looks like a lot of stocks are in scenarios where they're in a falling wedge, a massive falling wedge, or already pre-broke out of them, or coming up to their old patterns that broke out, which by that, I'll show you exactly what I mean here. Just let me get rid of some stuff, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. But say, that this here was in a bullish pattern. And because of the market correction and because the NASDAQ dropped, guess what happened to a lot of stocks that were in bull flags and bullish patterns? They broke down. Now, I knew that this thing was going to drop because I told you guys, I bought here, I sold half at 1588, let the rest ride, and I watched it triple top up in this area here. Okay, so I knew that we were overextended on the RSI. That's what was my main reason why I said, I should probably exit this thing, and I will probably just, look for a new entry, which unfortunately, although I should have, because I knew all the areas to buy, I missed out on putting my buy orders where I should have, and I could have gotten every single buy on this dip. But, that's okay, because I didn't miss nothing yet. So even though I won't have the best average possible, right? But we double topped here, which this wick came up too, so that's kind of a triple top in that sense. And then the daily, we double topped here, which was bearish divergence there, straight across on the RSI here, plus overextended like a motherfucker. And I was starting to look at it like a potential head and shoulders on the RSI. I think even on the weekly, it showed me some. Oh no, the weekly doesn't even show as RSI. That's pretty wild. So anyway, that being said, where were we? Sorry, guys. I know this is probably a long video, but I hope you guys enjoy it and it's not boring to you. So if it's boring, then my bad. But I like going through stocks individually like this. So now that we can get to the fun part, because we got through basically the history of the chart and what we're looking at here. So what was the other thing I was going to say? This is a bull flag or a rising channel, okay? But to me, this is a bull flag. And I think this stock was, even though it had those bearish settings, and this can happen, it could break out of a bullish pattern, and then it can come back up, get back in the bullish pattern, have this beautiful retest, and it could do a lot more than just that, guys. It can do something like this. Well, if I hide all of this drawing, what does that look like to you? What does it look like it's forming? To me, a rounding bottom, and let me see if I can use this thing, because I haven't been able to successfully use it. Not really, but I mean, obviously you can see what I'm trying to get at here, right? I don't really know how to use this thing. Double curve, I want it to be a good one, but a double curve, okay? And I cannot figure it out. But you see what I'm saying? Okay, let me hide this again, and you guys take a good look at it. If you're, if you don't know charts very well, then you can kind of maybe say, I don't know what you're talking about. Or if you do know charts, you might look at it and go, I never looked at it that way, or I already know. But this could be a massive W, okay? And this is just the start of it. There's a couple, I don't really know. I wish I knew wave analysis, because I really want to get into that. So if, I might have to do some research on that, because I would love to know if this is some type of Elliott wave structure, where that's like a 1, a 2, a 3, and now we're heading up to the 4th wave, which to me, that would make perfect sense. And then you have a 5th wave that comes back down, which maybe would back test this as support. Depending on how that works, I don't know if that's legit or not. Maybe you could look at it like that, or you could look at it but if I'm doing this wrong, then feel free to, tell me in the comments, because I'm not a huge wave person, so I probably shouldn't be even fucking with this. But to me, that's an ABC correction, I would think, right? And then what happens after an ABC correction? Explosive moves. So That's one way to look at it. So, okay, so now that we got through all of that, I think this thing is going places, but this is going to be more like, let's do some more like short-term stuff, because I know you guys are, you guys probably, if you're invested in it, it's going somewhere. You're just kind of sitting around like, what's taking so fucking long, right? So, and I've been looking back at it. I have it on my watch list. Like, I could have entered this here, and I'm kind of waiting for a little bit of confirmation. But so, let's see. So obviously we had a couple good confirmations here, right? This was great confirmation. This was excellent confirmation. And this was just kind of like, if you knew this thing prior, you probably would have known to put it here. If you watched some of my old videos and you paid attention, you might have been able to actually go, well, he remembered him talking about 1050 being a level. So let's look at 1 hour. So the 1 hourly, where we're at right now, I'm going to try to see what I can find in this thing. So there's a couple ways we could look at this. So go straight across from here. So technically, okay, there's a couple ways we could look at it. We could look at it in the negative and the bullish. So the negative thing to watch, which can always be canceled, is it's lower on the right and higher on the left on the RSI. We're higher on the left and lower on the right. And in the price action, we're higher on the right, lower on the left here, because the wicks will come up and cause the price action or the RSI to spike, and then it sells off, and that leaves the RSI up high. So that's how you end up getting bearish divergence, and that's kind of what we have right here, but that's the negative side. But this is only on the hourly, and the hourly can always get canceled out if in the morning you get a very good pop. So what am I looking for here? So what I'm looking for is obviously a pattern that we're in, right? So let's see what we've been doing. So we could break it down in a couple different ways here if I get rid of this. So we can see this looked like a W that could have, obviously, this looked like a W here. So if we were to break it down small, this would probably be a falling wedge here, and then it broke up and we just fucking blasted off because this thing has power and that's just how it is. But this is what we're going to see here. Take this wick to this, and that was, that's kind of crazy actually, looking at it like that. So actually that wasn't it. Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure this out too. How would I look at this? Because this, what I'm seeing here, and I'm sorry because I know I'm thinking in my head, it's hard for me to show you guys. This right here, right, say this was the fall, and then this was like a small little bear flag right here. And then it dropped because of that. That would be what I'm seeing right here. But then we double bottomed here and found that this was very good support, 1261. So that was an area of confluence there. Even though in the past that wasn't really anything to look at, that was an area. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to take this and we're going to take this, because now we know that these two wicks down below were crucial. So if it was to drop here because of this bearish divergence, or we get some red in the market, it could potentially come down to this 1280 level. That's going to be an area to watch for a dip buy, as well as what we know way down here at 1214. So that's always an area that we want to keep in mind from here on out if you're in this stock. You want to remember these three levels we went over, 1213, 1140, and 1050. Always remember that when you're in this thing. Write it down. So then your other thing is we could look at this and say, we know that those top few wicks are strong resistance. So we can draw from that wick to that wick and say this right here is a pretty good sized pennant. And we could even call it we could call it a bull pennant. So I'll give you two different targets here. We have the size of the pennant, because it doesn't, if it was that big, it wouldn't really look like a bull pennant. Maybe. Well, we'll have to see. All right, so if we were going to break out tomorrow and this RSI decides to roll up here and we decide to head up into bullish territory here, which could be a thing, then our targeted move would actually be 1455. But the main thing that we need to do is we need to get confirmed support. So this doesn't have to blast right up there or anything. We need to first, obviously, get over this level here of 1350. And then right above, we have to get over this crucial area of 1370. And although we didn't quite wick there, I have a feeling that if we do come up here, we might wick that, maybe come back down, test this. So that's one way to look at it, is as a pennant like that. I'm not going to take the measured move of the bullish potential bull pennant there, because I know what the resistance will be. Your resistance up here is 1488. Your resistance here that you want to get above is 1370. That's already based off of history. So another way you can look at it here is we could probably do something even smaller. I mean, let's see. I mean, I guess you could do something like this, but it's kind of, I don't really like that. But you could maybe look at this. Okay, well, we'll do that. We'll say this thing is heading up to its breakout, which we already discussed what the breakout was, I think, of that main falling wedge. I hope we did, because I can't remember now. Yeah, we did. So now you could say that this thing is just slowly moving its way up. It's very slow. It comes up, hits a resistance, falls down, double bottoms, heads up, finds a resistance, come down, double bottoms, and that's kind of what it's doing. As of right now, it's following this 20 EMA on the hourly. So this is kind of a key area to keep in mind as of right now. It can fake you out and come below it, but for right now, it seems like it's really following it. And this right here is a golden cross coming in on shorter term golden cross of a 20 crossing a 200, which should give you a pump. So that being said, this is probably a bullish pennant right here, and maybe a little small bull pennant, or you could go all the way down to here. But I'm going to call it the small bull pennant because this is how I would play it. I'd look at this and, oh, I want to make a play on this. I'll buy it if we get above a certain level, and we'll come up and look at where the target ends up. 1385, which lines up probably perfectly with this 100 EMA that looks like it's tomorrow will probably move to about here. And you're going to get this move, the 1385. You're going to come down and you're going to try to hold this 1367 area. It can wick below it, of course, and it could wick all the way down to this, because right now, what's resistance for you guys who are in this? And I'm sure you know if you've been watching it and looking back and saying, what the hell, the thing is having so much trouble getting over this area here. And you could do that and say, this area right here of 1344 is being a bitch. So that's probably a crucial area right there to get above. And then above that, from what I remember and what I have marked on the charts, 1366. So, you know, it could blast right through that, hit this, and come back down and back test 1360, or back test this if this decides to be this new resistance that, to me, I don't even really know why it's that much of resistance, to be honest. I mean, if anything, maybe people are going off of this wick here, which is 1329, but from my history, I don't have any resistance really that's that strong that's right there. But new traders that are in this, maybe they're swinging it based off of something that I don't see. But needless to say, I know the history of that, and I don't know why it's having that much trouble getting over here. But maybe they're just basing it off of this 1338 there. But either way, I think it's just in a little bit of consolidation right here. And as soon as you break this resistance, which seems like right now is like probably this, then you should have some room to run. And you're gonna have to figure out, does it get resistance here or does it run all the way up here? And that's something to keep in mind, that it could go either way. It's hard to really say if traders are going to base it off of my old trend lines here or not. That I can't tell you, but as of right now, it's getting resistance where I don't even see any resistance. So that's okay, though. So you guys are moving your way up for sure. So let's see if we can find anything on the 4 hour here. And I know this video is probably getting long and overspent, but so obviously you had this red TD9 flash. You had a little spinning top here, and all of this action here happen. And then, I guess you could also do this, because I've seen this happen plenty of times where you run your Or maybe, oh, I know what we can do real quick. You can do this, and this will be something to look at too. You can do that, and then you can see that when it comes up here, it might test this 1369, which will line up perfectly with this 1366. And then when you break that, that'll be a breakout too. So if you draw that on your charts there, if you're charting this, you could actually draw it right across all of these wicks because it's been crucial each time it comes up. And once you get a nice fat candle staying outside of this and it keeps holding support here, that's another good entry position. And then you could long it up to this point if you want. But then once you get above this, this is your area that you really want to hold support on here because it's going to be crucial. Because in this past year, we blasted right through it. We didn't spend much time here. So in my opinion, this area, although it might act as some resistance here because it did in this area, there isn't that much trading that happened here. And I think that if you can turn it into support, that's going to be huge, which is going to be roughly this 15.15 to 14.94. I mean, I remember 15.15 being very strong. Oh, 15.19, that makes sense. So I'm actually going to move this up here because I personally put a buy order in at 15.18 during this period. And I saw it coming down and continuously wicking off there. So I remember that. So we're going to say that that's going to be your biggest resistance probably right there. And once you get support on that, that's when this game really comes into play. So, I mean, it's going to move slow here, and it's going to do that. But for now, this is a nice setup here on the 4 hour here, and you just have to get yourself above 13.45 and 13.67. You have a lot of buying volume coming in, and it's just moving its way up. It's just being a little slower than it usually is because it used to be a very, very powerful stock here, and it will still be. But as of right now that I notice we're looking at the daily here, this is going to also be crucial. So you have a lot of resistance above here because this 20 daily EMA is probably the first place that you guys are going to wick to, and then you might sell off. So keep that in mind, that $14 roughly, $13.98, $14, you're probably going to come up here, wick, and maybe have a sell-off because there's going to be a lot of traders that are targeting that area. So just keep that in mind. If you blast right over it, then the next area would be that 14.85 there, would be that white Ichimoku there. And then on the weekly, what do we have above for resistance? You have $14 as well, right on this purple, roughly $13.98. But, you know, this is the first good sign on the weekly is a spinning top. So even if you guys kind of like go sideways for the rest of the week, then, you know, just kind of trade within that range, you want to look for that next week because if you can get one of those bullish reversal setups right here, you know for sure it's fucking game time. And that's something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. So, I mean, I have this on my radar and I am looking for a position. I just haven't been trading this. I have a lot of other things on my mind right now with some other stocks. But I am going to be watching for confirmed support on top of this $13 to $14 level. And then I might put in a long myself. But yeah, I hope this helps. And I'm sorry for the long rambling video. If you guys like that or like this breakdown. But if you guys want some downside targets real quick, just in case we have some correction, 13.11 to 13.01, 12.91 to 12.78, and on the very, very low side, 12.62 on the very, very low side. If you do get a big drop and you somehow plummet through 12.91, then you would look for 12.61. But I think that those areas are definitely going to hold. I honestly think that this level, if you even were to get a drop, which I don't think you will, but I can't say that. Your strongest support right now is 13.10 to 13.03. So just keep those in mind. But honestly, it just kind of looks like how Carnival looked when it broke out of that 21.50, and it just is kind of does this in this rising channel. I mean, eventually you'll get a small wick out of here, but this is almost exactly how Carnival was looking. But I'm hoping that you get a break out of this area here. And boom, 1385. You should get a nice big pump to 14 or so. But yeah, you guys know what we just said. Anyway, all right, have a good night. And I'll try to do an update tomorrow if I see anything good happening here. Peace.